with you guys. I'm not gonna hold y'all or, stall y'all out today, but we gonna have a family discussion today. We're gonna have a family discussion today. Yes. We are going to have us a family discussion today. So before y'all come on here asking, am I doing readings or anything like that? No, I'm not doing readings today, but we're going to have some tranquil tea time and we're going to have this discussion. We need to have a talk. So we're going to have a talk, community. We're going to have a good little talk today. And what I want to talk to you guys about is one of the most uncomfortable topics: sexual abuse in childhood, sexual abuse with children, sexual trauma with children. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. Hi, Francine. So I'm going to give everybody a couple of minutes to get their notifications, whatever the case may be. But we're going to talk about this. So for those of you that are new to my live, you are just now getting notifications, things of that nature. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Maman, Oyela Ray Brian. I am you guys' hoodoo spirit, two-headed spiritual conjure woman. Hello, Miss Maldonado. And today's Tranquil Tea Time message is brought to you by the letter S. Today's letter is brought to you by the letter S for sexual abuse, sexual trauma. So today, I'm not going to be doing readings. I'm letting you know now. Do not question me or ask me, am I doing a reading? No, I am not. But I will be talking about a very uncomfortable subject today. And we will be discussing a very uncomfortable subject today that I feel should not remain uncomfortable. It should not remain hidden. And something that we are going to talk about today, no questions, no ifs, ands, or buts, no cocoa. But one of the things that we are going to be discussing today is sexual abuse and sexual trauma in childhood. Okay? I'm not doing readings today, but I am going to discuss sexual abuse in childhood. So the reason that this topic is sort of prompt is because with me also being a sexual abuse trauma therapist, I don't just do shadow work. I don't just talk about spirituality. I actually do sexual abuse trauma. I actually deal with sexual abuse cases in children and women and men as well. So one thing that has really sort of been hitting my heart hard lately is a lot of these younger children, these babies, being exposed to sexual activity, sexual conduct, sexual deviance, any type of misbehavior or things that we deem are sexual misconduct and behavior or misbehaving. I've noticed that quite a few. I got peaches on my tree. I'm finna hop the fence. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, I just realized I got peaches on my tree over there. I'm finna go hop the fence. Anyway, back to what I was saying though. A lot of you guys who have children in young ages, when you guys happen to find your children in a sexual position or in a sexual situation that you know they should not be in because they are children, I really want you guys to, first of all, when y'all are realizing that y'all 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds, 7-year-olds are playing with themselves or whatever the case may be, rule number 1, stop overreacting, please. Yes, stop overreacting, please. Just because you done found your little baby in there whacking his little Peter off, stop acting surprised. They are still children. They are still growing, developing, and learning. The one thing that you do not need to do is jump on the bandwagon of brutal punishment and unjust justification. Just because you've caught a child in a sexual conduct or a sexual act, the first question you should honestly be asking yourself before jumping on this child is, where the hell did they see this shit? Where did they get this from? How do they even know to do this? Not jump on the bandwagon of beating your children. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? What is wrong with y'all? Especially if these are younger babies we talking about. You done caught your 6-year-old playing inappropriately with your 4-year-old, or you've caught your daughter fondling or messing with her brother. Why don't y'all sit these babies down and start asking them where they saw this shit at? Sit these babies down and start asking them what made them think that was okay, or how do they even know how to do that? And yes, as a sexual abuse counselor and as a therapist, that is something that I do have to sit and ask my babies. I do have to ask my children. Hell, I just had an instance of my own child playing with herself, and I was like, what the fuck? The last thing that was on my mind to do was to jump down her fucking throat. Honestly, my first thought was, what have I done? What did she see me do? What did she hear me do? What did she remember me doing? That was my first thought. Because I remember growing up in those type of situations as well, where there was nobody to explain certain things. And the first things that our parents did was beat your ass first and then want to talk about shit later. As if the apology was going to make up for the brutal ass beating you just got for no reason. If you are catching y'all young babies out here doing shit, maybe you need to sit down and ask yourself what type of company you really keeping. Really ask yourself the type of people you allowing your children to be around. And what was funny to me is when I asked my child about, how did she know about this sexual activity and all of that, it wasn't even nothing she learned at home. She learned it from her god brothers and sisters because they were all watching Pornhub from another one of their friends that they met. So now at this point, in me realizing that this isn't just one child, this is several children now. And apparently there was an older child that exposed them. So at what point do the adults stop being an adult and you become a parent and start realizing what your children are getting into? Instead of feeling that the first thing you should do is jump up and beat them and publicly traumatize and humiliate them. Just because that was what was done to you does not mean that you should pass down that generational curse or that generational hex or that generational misinterpretation of understanding or lack thereof. So no, we not doing no readings today, babies. But yeah, I'm finna jump in that ass though. Oh yeah, I'm finna joing all up in that ass, because that's wrong. If your children are experiencing sexual energy or any type of what people call sexual deviancy, they're growing. What do you think is going to happen? They're growing up. So how about you stop being a petrified, traumatic person passing down more generational trauma and start talking to your kids about their body? Start talking to your kids about what they know and they don't know. Because I guarantee you, I ain't know my daughter knew all about Pornhub and shit like that. Because me personally, that is not my cup of tea. That is not something that I even partake of on. I'm sorry, y'all. Even with me being into BDSM, Pornhub, or watching any type of porno, that's not my thing. So, for me to find out my daughter is full on watching Pornhub, and she done learned it from her god brothers and sisters, that's an issue. But that's not the issue of me jumping on my child, though. That's not the issue of me calling her out her name or talking bad to her, any of that mess. And I'm so tired of seeing parents do that shit. When you know better, you did better. And clearly at that point in your life, you didn't know no better. That's why you was hiding doing the shit. That's why you was sneaking in the bathroom, whacking off. That's why you was sitting here waiting until everybody else fell asleep so you could play with yourself. Because you were given that spirit of shame of exploring yourself, and you shouldn't have. There's nothing wrong with you exploring yourself, beloved, but do it in a safe place and way. And that is something that we really need to start teaching our children if you do not want your son to become sexual predators. Start teaching them the right way then now. If you know he in there beating his little meat, make sure you know he beating his little meat too. If you know he in there whacking off to white women, unfortunately, my love, why don't you give him something more to look forward to then? Because he gonna do it whether you want him to or not. And that does not mean shame him for it either. Because unfortunately, the more you shame a child, you're doing nothing but tearing their spirits apart instead of teaching them, grooming them, raising them up the proper way. Yeah, this part of life is uncomfortable because none of our parents really sat and did that shit with us either. And those of us who did have parents that really wanted to sit and teach and talk to us, you are blessed beyond measure. But for the other 80% of us out here who was raised in hell, who was raised with alcoholics, crackheads, drunks, and all of this other shit, nah, we ain't getting there none of that. I'm sorry, baby. We was finning and finding it we was finding Nemo on our goddamn selves. Sorry. But the one thing that is breaking my heart is seeing a lot of these young children coming into their own body parts or learning their own bodies and things of that nature. And instead of you as a parent finding out what they doing, realizing what they doing, and teaching them what they are doing, explaining to them what they are doing so they're not shamed about it, you beating their asses. You talking about them, you dragging them all over the internet, you embarrassing them. So pretty much you're doing the same shit that our slave masters did to us to try and keep us in line of under control. What was the difference? If you don't want your son growing up being little R. Kelly, then show him not to be little R. Kelly then. Show him the right way to do the shit. If you don't want your daughter growing up being little thought Tiana, why don't you show her something better than what she being shown then? And stop beating her ass for repeating what she's been seeing in her environment. And since you're not there all the time, you don't know what the environment really is. You don't know what the environment of these children really is growing up. Because you grown. You done had your time. You done lived your life. You done made your mistakes. You done did your shit. But how dare you have the audacity to jump on some of these babies because they are coming into learning themselves? Stop being mad at that little boy. If you see him touching and hunching on his sister, you might want to ask him where he done learned it from. You might want to talk to him about where he done learned it from. You might want to show him where he saw it. Jody, who did you see playing with your thing like that? How you know how to do that? Who told you that? When you start talking and thinking back to your inner child and reverting back to your inner child, going back to your inner child, that's when you can really talk and relate to your child. You got to remember the mindset you was in when you was learning to discover your little penis. When you was learning to discover your little pussy. When you finally sat there and wiped yourself the right way and was like, oh shit. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. Let me do it again and see what happens. Oh, oh. Shh. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Don't be mad because don't sit here and get upset because of the fact of your 7-year-old done got caught with your 2-year-old. If anything, be grateful that generational curse done came up and now it's done been brought to light so your dumb ass can fix it. Not sit here and shame them so that it can continue. Or that it can manifest in a different way. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? And you wonder why we got people like R. Kelly running the fuck around. When do you stop shaming other people for shit you know you've been doing? Because I'm pretty sure nobody taught you about how to jack off. Didn't nobody tell you that you're supposed to skeet in a woman? You had to learn that shit. So just like you learned it, what make you think these babies ain't learning that shit? What make you think these babies don't hear and see y'all? And then you have the audacity to want to jump in their asses. Oh, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. How about you shut the fuck up and learn where they got it from first? Because 9 times out of 10, you will find out. Either it's going to be another child that's been on them or it's going to be an adult that's on them. Those are the only 2 places it's going to come from. Either it was a child or it was an adult. Either you being the adult that they have heard, grown up listening to, fucking all their life. Or you decide to have male company over and now little Tina got 13 different aunties and uncles over. Either way. You being absent, saying, no, I got business to take care of. You don't think they learn that shit? So how dare you jump on their asses when you catch them doing what you done taught them? When you catch them doing what you have allowed them to do? And instead of beating their asses and humiliating them, how about you sit your broke ass down and deal with your children? Raise them up the right way. Teach them the right way. Heal them the right way. So that they know it can manifest and be better than what the fuck y'all got running around now. Real shit. Because it's very traumatizing to a child to realize they're having all of these sensations and experiences and they see these people doing it. So, hey, that's a boy and I'm a boy and he's doing this to a girl, so I should do this to a girl. Instead of y'all sitting y'all motherfucking asses down, running in y'all human experience and actually checking yourself at the door before you check somebody else. Baby, the reason that you having these experiences is because you are a boy. It's natural for you to feel this way. It's natural for you to like girls. You may even like some boys that act very feminine. It's natural. You are attracted to feminine energy. Period. Same thing for little girls. If you realize that your daughter is out here kissing on girls, hugging on girls, stop embarrassing and shame-facing her because of what she's developed and going through. She's made an adjustment for her life and her reality. Even if that means that she can no longer really be in tune with a man and now she's taking on that masculine energy, respect the fact that that is what the fuck it is taking her through to readjust and still reacclimate to the point of she's still living her life alive instead of trying to kill herself like most of these other people be out here doing because they feel their spirit don't fit right with their body. I'm gonna need y'all to get the fuck up off of that shit. Real shit. Because you are traumatizing and fragmentating these children more than anybody. This whole saying blood is thicker than water, I hope you realize they're talking about the blood that people are willing to sacrifice for you. Complete strangers are willing to sacrifice for you is way greater than any water that you may share in any blood relative's womb. Meaning your grandmother's womb that all of y'all family came from. I bet you them motherfuckers will stab you in the back quicker than the motherfucker in the street will. And they'll have motive and intent. That's what that term is. Y'all can keep that shit. Because at the end of the day, this shamefulness that you guys keep going through with sexual abuse, sexual trauma, how dare you attack these children, but you want to attack your uncles and your aunties. You want to attack your boyfriends after touching your daughters every night, though. You won't sit here and knuckle up with that man that keep touching your daughter. You not saying nothing to these women out here that's sucking on your nephew's penis and shit, though. Come here, nephew. Come stay with Auntie Glenn. And Auntie Glenn rubbing her pussy all over his face. Are y'all out y'all fucking mind? For real? But instead of going to the source or finding the source, you would rather punish the child? Instead of acknowledging the source, dealing with the source, and dealing with the demon head on, cutting it off at the head, you want to punish the child? You want to punish the very starseed that brought the truth to light? Which is why they lie. When they are displaying their truth, they are being shamed and abused and traumatized because of it. Because their truths set families free. When you see it, you got to do something about it. And a lot of y'all choose to shame them, hurt them, abuse them, and fragmentate them versus healing them, raising them up, and setting them right on the right path in the right direction. How dare you? How dare you? And then you're wondering why they're going through all the sexual abuse that they're going through. And now you got to come find me. Or you got to come find somebody like me who actually deals with a lot of these ugly ass curses and shit. That I'm sorry, no light worker is going to deal with sexual abuse and trauma. They're not going to deal with that shit. I am, though. I'll knuckle up for it. And at the end of the day, I'll sit here and tell every last one of your ancestral demons who gonna whoop my ass over this child. I'm waiting. Because I am that person that none of y'all seem to want to be. Instead of teaching them the right way, raising them up the right way, growing them in the right way, fine, you don't have to bring them to me. I'll teach them. You don't have to correct it. I'll do it. You don't know how to talk to your children about sexual abuse, trauma, and shit? Bring them to me. I will be that guardian for them in that case. If you are not strong enough to do so, because you abusing these children, we done with that. We're done with that. You wanting to put your shame and your hate on someone else who brought forth a truth that triggered you? It triggered you? That's why you're beating the child? We done with that. We done with baby mamas having all of this stigma. Oh, you're not gonna see your son until you do this. Bitch, if you don't get up off your motherfucking high horse and let that man have his children, who the fuck are you? And for you men out here, oh man, I don't get to see my kids, I don't do this, that, and the third. Shut the fuck up. If you want to see something better, do better then. Don't talk about the man you used to be. Talk about who you are now. Be who you needed when you was younger. If you know your kids need a better father, be that better father then and stop talking about the shit. If you know your kids need a better mother, be a better mother then and stop talking about that shit. If you know your kids are starting to display some shit, don't leave the care of the child up to a professional psychotherapist. Sit your black ass down and deal with your children. You want to know why little Johnny and them don't want to fucking talk to you? It's because of the way you don't even talk and deal with your own shit, bruh. And for those of you that are on here feeling like you got some source of entitlement, oh, you need to do this for me and love me and do this and do that. I'm going to tell you right now, you abusing your blessings and you finna learn a big ass lesson. You finna learn a big ass lesson. Using your children and your position in a marriage does not leave you in a place of entitlement. Period. And whenever any of you discover that your children are becoming sexually active, that does not mean abuse them or shame them to the point they start fragmenting their souls. That means sit your ass down and deal with your children. Learn your children. Raise your children. And stop throwing sexual abuse and trauma under the fucking rug like it don't happen. Don't beat your son ass for touching on his 2-year-old sister. Go beat your uncle ass for touching on your goddamn son. Go fuck your auntie up for rubbing her pussy lips all over your son's mouth. That's what you need to be doing. And if you don't like what I'm saying, guess what? That's what the unfriend button is for. Unfriend me, huh? I don't give a fuck. Because at the end of the day, when the nighttime comes, I'm the person, myself and a bunch of others are the keepers and the guardians of the night that still lie awake at night, hearing these babies crying from being raped and molested and not understanding why they're being casted out, thrown aside, or being called black sheep. Don't nobody love me. Don't nobody want me. I want you, baby. I love you, baby. They did not choose to explain that to you because of their own human traumas and their own human experience. Come home. I got you. Because what y'all not going to be doing is keep teaching these children how to be fuck-ups and then getting mad at them when they become fuck-ups. They're products of their environment and you are a part of their fucking environment, you dumbass. So how about you check yourself at the door before you go banging down your child's door in the middle of the night? Real shit. So you guys, you know my motto. Namaste, you guys. But no, I'm going to stay the fuck over here. Holla.